Good morning, everyone. My name is Sara Cope, and the person before you is a figment of your imagination because the real Sara Cope is still at home in bed. So I'm going to stumble through this as best I can, and welcome to First Church Unitarian in Littleton, both to our members here in the church, in the sanctuary, and to those of you who are online. Hi, wherever the camera is. Okay. I have just a few brief announcements this morning. The first, of course, is for all of us to remember that this is our Stewardship Sunday. And after the service, we will be having a meal together and the Stewardship Sunday event. I believe we're downstairs in the large dining room. Is that right, Chris? Okay. And I also believe that for those of you at home who requested, meals will be delivered. Okay. When? They were delivered. You guys are, wow, you were up early. Okay. All right. Also on my list, the Women's Alliance Service Project is still ongoing, and I believe, Rochelle will correct me, it's ongoing until the end of the month. They are collecting toiletries. You can find posters around the church with a list of what's needed, and bring your donations to the church. There are collection baskets, is that right? Say what? In the vestry, okay. That is the next important thing. And the final thing, you've been seeing a little notice up on your screen, the Zoom postcard writing resumes for voting for democracy, is on every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Linda Kaler, I believe, can give you extra information about it, as can Lynn Courtney. So with that, welcome to church. Don't fall getting off my thing there.
And I believe we have a Glimmer. We do? Is it you?
Good morning. My name is Lorinda Morimoto. My preferred pronouns are she and her. I'm a member of FCU and of the RJAC, Racial Justice Action Committee. And I find myself wondering, how come you're here? Oh, the entertainment and the food. Me too. But really, why are you here? I came to FCU with my wife, Araya, quite a while ago. I don't remember when, 2000 and something. And I was allergic to church. I avoided churches as much as I could. The only church I actually went to voluntarily and enjoyed was the Native American church. Peyote wasn't too bad either. That's kind of like communion with a kick. But what I discovered here were the kinds of people who had values that I shared, who had concerns that I shared, who wanted to make a difference, like I did. A difference in myself to discover what I knew and didn't know, to discover how I could be in balance with my fellow beings, human and otherwise. To feel there was a reason that I was on this beautiful planet. And here I found other people that really shared that concern and commitment. I found at the same time that I was beginning to trust being here. My grandchildren out in Portland, Oregon, were enjoying Fred Singford, who was the minister there at the time when they were there. That's where I learned how to sign Spirit of Life. And that Spirit of Life started to come alive for me more here than it had in other places. So why are you here? Could be anywhere. You know, we can be here because the beings that were here before us gave of themselves in a way that made it possible for the future generations to be here. That's kind of the Native American way. You think in terms of 7 generations ahead, doing whatever you're doing to benefit the 7 generations ahead. And our predecessors did that for us here. So wouldn't it be wise, gracious, respectful for us to do the same? And I ask that we do the same to the best of our ability, to share whatever abundance we have that will benefit people who come here to seek the same understanding, the same curiosity, whatever reason they come here, they will benefit too. And I think that we feel better when we do that, to the best of our ability, not beyond that, because then that can feel like an obligation and a stress that we don't need. And that has energy. Money is just energy. Energy wants to flow. Let's let it flow in a direction that will benefit all beings in all realms at all times. Thank you.
Good morning. At the recent Refreshed and Renewed workshops, participants were encouraged to reflect on their gifts, on what brings them joy, and on the needs of the world. From these, they were invited to create and share a personal mission or ministry statement. Not everyone had something ready to share. These things are always a work in progress. But a number were shared, and with gratitude to their authors, I have sprinkled them anonymously throughout our worship service today. Each is a glimmer in its own right. I offer the first as our call to worship. It makes my heart sing when I work with other people who are committed to the common good of our community, country, and world. It makes my heart sing to lose myself in nature, It makes my heart sing to be with people I love. As we gather in community this morning with people we love, may we allow our hearts to find harmony, each unique, each adding to the whole. Come, let us worship together. I'd like to invite Tucker to come up and light our chalice, a symbol of our faith. The words for our covenant are on the screen and in your order of service. And while Tucker lights the chalice, will you say these words with me? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you, Tucker. Welcome. Welcome to church this morning. Thanks for being here. I suspect we'll have a few people that just make it in time for lunch. So maybe there was a good reason to schedule it that way today. I am the Reverend Kathy Schmitz, and I am the sabbatical minister here for 4 months until Reverend Laura's return in mid-May. Whether this is your first time worshiping with us or you've been here for decades, as I know some of you have been, your presence is a blessing to us this morning. If you are new, a special welcome. Check out Community Matters for all that's going on and ways to get connected, or take a look at the website, fculittle.org. There's lots of information about the congregation, and it will take you to information about Unitarian Universalism. And of course, you can always speak to one of us. After the service today, we will not have our regular coffee hour. Instead, we will have our annual Stewardship celebration. It will begin right here in the sanctuary and then continue with a meal downstairs in the dining room. For those online, the celebration will be on Zoom only, not on our YouTube channel. And as we begin, please be sure to set your devices to worship mode. One of our refreshed and renewed participants described their mission this way: to embrace the commitments that I have made to people and organizations I value, my family and friends, my church, my chosen communities. In this way, may we be both blessed and a blessing. Our opening hymn was written by former music director of this congregation, Dan Richards. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing, "The Church That Blesses You."
We are humble, hear me? Okay. This book is called Thank You, Omu. And Omu means queen, but it's also the name of this woman's grandmother. On the corner of First Street and Long Street, on the very top floor, Omu was cooking a thick red stew in a big fat pot for a nice evening meal. She seasoned and stirred it and took a small taste. "Ah, what a delicious stew," Omu said. "Tonight's dinner will surely be the best I've ever had." And with that, Omu put down her spoon and went to read her book before dinner. As the thick stew simmered on the stove, its scrumptious scent wafted out the window, out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block, until, knock, someone was at the door. When Omu opened it, she saw a little boy. "Little boy," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my home?" "I was playing with my race car down the hall when I smelled the most delicious smell," the boy replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." Stew," he sighed. "That sure sounds yummy." Omu thought for a moment. She was saving her stew for dinner, but she had made quite a bit. It would not hurt to share. "Would you like some?" The little boy nodded. And so Omu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," said the little boy, and went on his way. With that, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. As she read, her thick red stew scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, knock, knock, someone was at the door. When Omu opened the door this time, she saw a police officer. "Miss Police Officer," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my house?" "I was on duty down the street when I smelled the most delicious smell," Miss Police Officer replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Ah, stew," she said, and her mouth watered. "That sounds mighty tasty." Omu thought for a moment. There was still enough to share. "Would you like some?" The police officer nodded. And once again, Omu spooned out some thick red stew from her big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," said the officer, and she went on her way. And for the second time, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. Sure enough, as she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious scent swafted out the window, out the door, down the hall, toward the street, around the block, until knock, knock, knock. Thank you. Again, someone was at Omu's door. This time she opened it and saw a hot dog vendor. "Mr. Hot Dog Vendor," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my house?" "I was selling my hot dogs down the block when I smelled the most delicious smell," Mr. Hot Dog Vendor replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Oh, stew." The vendor licked his lips. "That sounds quite delectable." So Omu spooned out some of her thick red stew from the big fat pot of her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," the hot dog vendor said, and went on his way. Throughout the day, people from all across the neighborhood knocked on Omu's door. She fed a shop owner, a cab driver, a doctor, an actor, a lawyer, a dancer, a baker, an artist, a singer, an athlete, a bus driver, a construction worker. Even the mayor stopped by. And each time they knocked, Omu shared. Soon, The sky darkened. The street lights brightened, and it was finally time for dinner. But when Omu opened her big fat pot of thick red stew for her nice evening meal, it was empty. Omu sniffled. There goes the best dinner I ever had. Sorry and blue, she sat down at the table with her empty pot until... Who could that be, Omu wondered. She opened the door and she saw the little boy, the police officer, the hot dog vendor, the shop owner, the cab driver, the doctor, the actor, the lawyer, the dancer, the baker. Why, everyone she fed today was at her door. I'm sorry, Omu said. My thick red stew is all gone. I have nothing left to share. The little boy tugged at Omu's sleeve. Don't worry, Omu. We're not here to ask. We're here to give. The police officer carried a fresh salad. The mayor entered with a roast chicken. The baker brought a collection of sweet goodies, and even the boy presented Omu with something special in a shiny envelope. Everyone who knocked at Omu's door that day squeezed into her tiny apartment, and together they ate, danced, and celebrated. While Omu's big fat pot of thick red stew was empty, her heart was full of happiness and love. That dinner was the best dinner she ever had. Thank you, Omu. Thank you.
During this time of year when we talk about stewardship and our support of our congregation, we often mention the 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. A couple of our refreshed and renewed participants lifted these up in their statements. One wrote, "My passions are my family, my friends, and my community. I feel called to share my time, talent, and treasure to nourish these facets of my life that bring me joy and purpose." Another wrote, "My mission is to have a vision, and share that vision, to build consensus of vision and to work toward that vision, to be hardworking, generous with my time and talent and treasure, to be compassionate." In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, congregations are self-supporting and self-governed. It is this kind of generosity from members and friends that ensures the vibrancy of our communities and the future of our life-saving faith. For those joining online, offerings can be given through the website or by sending a check to the church office. Here in the sanctuary, I invite the ushers to come forward. At this time, your offerings to support the mission and ministry of this congregation will be gratefully received. Will you please join me in the words of our community response? We are grateful for the opportunity to give and serve, and grateful for the gifts we have received. May this affirm the ministries of our church community, both within and beyond these walls. As we gather in community, we carry with us life's joys and its sorrows. Sharing these in community can help One of our refreshed and renewed participants articulated the importance of sharing and support within our congregation when they wrote, "I will continue to use my skill of storytelling, my ability to lift others, and my personal resilience to help our beloved community thrive." Thank you. Well, let's light one more candle for the joys and concerns that remain unspoken and yet are on our hearts and minds. May we hold all these in love and tenderness so that this congregation will be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead. As we prepare for a time of meditation and reflection, I'd like to share 2 additional statements from our refreshed and renewed participants. One said, "Just waking up every morning makes my heart sing." But they continued, "But to extrapolate, I most enjoy using my insight, observation, and ease of finding beauty, joy, magic to inspire others to see with new eyes and act with compassion and live in wonder." Another reflected, "When I sing when I'm on an adventure, stretching myself, helping others to see the good in themselves and give them hope, educating others to their better selves. Finding joy and helping others to do the same is one of the blessings of community and of relationship." This reminded me of our musical response, which I invite you to consider a musical meditation this morning. "Come Sing a Song With Me" was written by Carolyn McDade. Back when I was in seminary, I had the opportunity to do a week-long workshop with Carolyn. And one story that she told always stayed with me. I share it with you, hoping that my memory is correct. After she had written "Come Sing a Song With Me," Carolyn became rather disenchanted with it, deciding it was a little light and fluffy. Sometime later, she had an opportunity to lead a workshop at a women's prison. There, with the incarcerated women, they sang the song. And in their voices, Carolyn heard the deep longing for hope. And in their singing, she was reminded that it is a privilege to think of finding hope as something light and fluffy. For some, it is truly hard to find. And it is a gift to companion one another as we seek and find hope. May this community be a place of hope and a place where we will find companions on the journey. Please remain seated as we sing "Come Sing a Song With Me."
Thank you.
the things I love about this congregation is your music. It's really quite remarkable for a congregation of this size to have such a quality program. It's not surprising that the Stewardship celebration will showcase your many talents in this area. I am a great appreciator of music. However, I am not skilled in this area, so it is important that during hymns, my mic is either muted or I step away from the podium. But for a variety of reasons, I have a guitar and I can even play a few chords. But until the advent of electronic tuners, I could not tune my guitar. My solution was usually to wait for one of my brothers to come visit. Both of them play quite well. I could tell my instrument was out of tune, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to go from out of tune to in tune. But when it did get in tune, it seemed like magic. I know some of you have no idea what's wrong with me, but okay. I came to think of this as a metaphor for life. Sometimes I know my life is out of tune and I just can't figure out how to get it right. But then there are those moments when it all comes together and I'm in tune and it's magic. Much like my guitar, my life doesn't stay in tune. It's a constant process of fiddling and fussing to get it right. This is in part what inspired the reflection done at those recent Refresh and Renew workshops. It seems like finding that magic spot, that in-tune place, that true happiness comes from exploring that place where our gifts and our skills and our talents intersect with those things that bring us joy and make our hearts sing, and are also in service to the world we want to live in. The magic spot, that in-tune moment, is not the same for everyone. We're different instruments. I was so taken with a variety of skills in this congregation. It's a beautiful thing. It would be sad if we all had the same few gifts. And just as your gifts vary, what brings you joy varies. And this too is a blessing. The area where I saw the most overlap was when I asked people to write a one-sentence description of their perfect world. Some were short and some were long, some were flowery, some were pretty direct, but each one made my heart happy. And in spite of the different words, they were not describing different worlds. There's a shared vision among you. How you use your gifts and your joy in service to that shared vision will be deeply personal for each of you. Here are several examples from the mission statements submitted. It makes my heart sing when I can use my technical skills to help others live socially and practically while contributing to the environmental well-being of our planet. Another. It makes my heart sing when I use my organizational and communication skills to protect our planet and promote liberal religion and politics. And one person noted that their skills, what the world needs and what nurtures them, are all the same for them. Teaching, writing, cooking, music and singing, servant leadership, physical exercise, outdoors, adventure, travel, family, and friends. And, heads up to the tech deck, even our expressions differed, with one person, instead of a statement, creating an image. Dun, dun, dun. There you go. I will allow you to examine that. It is my hope that this is a place where each of you will be nurtured toward your own place of magic, and that together you'll make an even greater difference in the world. One of the other things I love about this congregation is your lay services. It's a blessing to have so many people willing to share in such meaningful and thought-provoking ways. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and one of our participants offered these words. It makes my heart sing when I can work with my fellow deacons to help congregants create meaningful and impactful lay services for our church community. Now, of course, the thing that people notice about churches is the music and the services, but there's so much more that goes on. administration and governance, teaching and programs, justice and environmental outreach, caring for each other and this beautiful facility, community building, communication. There's a lot that goes on here. And this is another thing I love about this congregation. I've been watching people step up when something needs to be done. Somehow it happens. People step up when someone's sick. They raise their hands to do the thing no one else wants to do. They make sure that many hands make light labor. And another thing I love, the number of different roles people have had. It's really quite remarkable. It seems like many people have tried and served in many different ways. Some congregations, everybody sort of stays in their own lane and stays doing a thing. So even if that's the right thing for some of you, many of you have served in multiple roles that will give you, even if you never do them again, a deep appreciation for the people who do them. And one more thing I love, that I've been surprised to find out, that sometimes people have been here a much shorter time than I expected. You have a lot of long-term members, and sometimes that can be a barrier to new people getting involved. But it appears that you have some new people who have found ways to get involved, and they are very respected. And this is important because it can be hard sometimes to make room for new people. So I encourage you to continue to be mindful of the ways that you move in and out of positions, how you recruit and train and make room for those who are new among you. I've been with this congregation just 7 of my 16 weeks, and I have found so much to love, so many glimmers to make me happy to be here and hopeful for our faith. One of the congregations that I served talked about the 3 T's, the time, talent, and treasure that I mentioned. But they added one more letter, and I mentioned this in the workshops, which is N for nurture. When they are talking to people considering membership, they say, in addition to committing your time, your talent, and your treasure, we ask that you also commit to being nurtured, to find some way to feed your soul. That will be different for each of us. But I ask you, how will you be nurtured? How will you grow? There are the traditional ways to care for one another through pastoral care and spiritual development. But another is to allow people to serve in roles that are right for them at any given point in time in their lives and in their evolution within the church. I believe that when people are given the opportunity to serve with joy, not only are they nurtured, but amazing things can happen. So as we prepare to move into our stewardship celebration, let me just say you might want to put on your sunglasses, because there's much to love in this congregation, and those glimmers, they might just be blinding. As we prepare to share our meal together, I share the mission of another of our participants, who wrote, to thrive in community where I can join with others to feed ourselves and those around us. I want to be part of creating a world where food and security is a thing of the past, where compassion and listening to each other is a part of being fed and nurtured. I see the role food can play in bringing people together in abundance and beloved community around the welcome table. Please rise in body and spirit and join in our closing song, number 407, We're Gonna Sit at the Welcome Table. Our stewardship celebration begins immediately following the postlude. Please stay seated for some more wonderful music, as well as some glimmers from more of our members. If you're not able to stay for the celebration, please go with our blessing, but do come back soon. For our closing words, I offer the final mission statement from our Refreshed and Renewed workshops. To continue to appreciate and participate in First Church Unitarian, to share ideas and skills respectfully with members, to commit to worthwhile projects that support and nurture our church community, and to enjoy the experience, the relationships, and the blessings of our lives.